hands, secure the lines. Hold fast, she's coming about. The pumps are failing. She can't take much more. Grab the ropes, lads. Every man for himself.
In 1857, America was the richest it had ever been. Gold was flowing out of California like water. Banks were flush. Businesses were booming. And on September 12th, one ship went under. One single ship. And by the time the sun rose the next morning, the entire American economy was in freefall. What was on that ship has never been fully accounted for. And the man who found it is sitting in a prison cell right now, refusing to tell anyone where he hid it. Before I tell you what they found, hit subscribe, because this channel exists for one reason only: to tell you the stories that someone somewhere decided you should never hear. Every week, a new secret, a new cover-up, a new ship, a new cargo that was never supposed to be found. In the 1850s, America had a problem, not a war problem, not a political problem, a gold problem, too much of it. A carpenter named James Marshall finds something glinting in a river in California. Within 2 years, 300,000 people have abandoned their entire lives and flooded into California, chasing gold. The immense amount of gold mined during the California Gold Rush spurred Congress to establish the San Francisco Mint in 1854, which struck $6.8 million worth of gold coins in its very first year. America had never seen wealth like this. Banks were overflowing. Businesses were expanding. The economy was roaring. But here was the problem. All that gold was on the wrong side of the country. The banks that needed it most, the banks in New York, were desperate. Reserves running low, investors getting nervous. The economy starting to wobble, so the banks made a plan. Load the gold onto a ship in California. Sail it to New York. Flood the reserves. Stabilize the economy. Simple, one ship, one voyage, everything sorted. That ship was called the SS Central America, and it never arrived. What they loaded onto that ship was not just gold. It was the last thing standing between America and total financial collapse. The SS Central America was a 280-foot steamer running the route between San Francisco, Panama, and New York, up until September 9, 1857. The SS Central America had made 43 successful round trips, routine, reliable, trusted. But this voyage was different. On its September run, the Central America was carrying some 15 tons of Gold Rush gold in bullion and freshly minted coins from the new San Francisco Mint, all destined for New York City's banks, which desperately needed the gold to shore up reserves and stave off the looming financial crisis. 15 tons of gold. But that was just the official cargo, because aboard the ship were also hundreds of Gold Rush miners, heading home to their families, every single one of them carrying personal fortunes. Gold nuggets, gold dust, gold bars, stuffed into money belts, leather pouches, hidden in luggage. It was not for nothing that the Central America would be called the Ship of Gold. A group of researchers and businessmen later claimed to have found a document certifying a much larger secret gold shipment, loaded by the U.S. military with a current value in excess of $300 million, an official secret shipment, on top of everything else, on top of the miners' personal gold, on top of the bank gold. Nobody knows exactly how much was really on that ship. Nobody has ever known. And on the morning of September 9th, a hurricane appeared on the horizon. The captain had survived 43 voyages. He had never lost a single passenger. He was about to lose 425. On September 9, 1857, the SS Central America got caught in a hurricane off the coast of the Carolinas. The ship struggled to navigate through the storm, and by September 11 she had begun taking on water. The crew worked around the clock. Every man aboard, passengers included, formed a human bucket brigade, bailing water, hour after hour, through the night, through the next day. The well-to-do Ansel Easton, a new-laid on his honeymoon, pitched in, took off his coat, kissed his new wife, and headed below to do his duty. He never came back up. Adeline Easton initially refused to leave her husband, but was persuaded when he assured her that he'd be on the next boat. He wasn't. Conditions were far too dangerous to continue the operation. By the afternoon of September 12th, a passing ship called the Marine spotted the distress signal. Women and children were loaded into lifeboats, lowered into heaving black water, transferred across in terrifying conditions. The men stayed behind. Then, Without warning, shortly after 9 p.m., a heavy sea rolled the Central America, and she sank immediately, stern first. One survivor, a miner named William Chase, described the final moments. There was some praying, also some swearing, and some fighting for loose boards. Some deliberately turned in and went to bed, choosing to meet their fate in that form. 425 of her 578 passengers and crew went down with the ship, and so did every ounce of gold. By the next morning, the survivors were rescued. But the news traveling by telegraph to New York was about to do something the hurricane never could: bring down an entire economy. The sinking became more than a maritime disaster. It tightened an already worsening shortage of gold and silver coins and helped fuel the panic of 1857, a transatlantic financial crisis. Banks that were already nervous now had no gold coming. Investors who were already worried now had proof their fears were justified. A run on banks ensued, causing a financial downturn that the SS Central America's cargo was meant to prevent. Many historians consider the panic of 1857 the first global economic crisis. The first global economic crisis, triggered by one ship in one storm, on one night. At the time of her sinking, Central America carried gold then valued at approximately $8,000 the thousand, worth $2.4 billion in 2025 values. Think about that, one ship, $4 billion in today's money. Gone, in one night. The ship sat on the ocean floor for 131 years. Then a man from Ohio decided to find it. What happened next is one of the most extraordinary and most criminal stories in treasure hunting history. A marine engineer named Tommy Thompson from Columbus, Ohio, becomes obsessed with the SS Central America. He spends years in libraries, reading every newspaper account from 1857, every survivor testimony, every weather report. In the summer of 1985, Thomas G. Thompson assigned a scientist the task of estimating the location of the wreck. In 1988, after years of research and fundraising, the SS Central America was found by a team of 40 engineers, scientists, and historians. 161 partners raised an astounding $10 million to fund the expedition. The mission located the wreck at a depth of 234 meters, 250 kilometers off the coast, on September 11, 1988, exactly 131 years after it sank. What they found on the seafloor was beyond anything anyone expected. Among the notable recovered items, the lid to the oldest known Wells Fargo treasure shipment box. 1857 clothing including the earliest known Gold Rush-era canvas work pants that may have been made by Levi Strauss himself. A daguerreotype photograph of an unidentified young woman, nicknamed the Mona Lisa of the Deep, discovered in a pile of the ship's coal, and gold everywhere. In 2018, an auction of the SS Central America's treasure presented 45 bars, 300 gold coins, and more than 36 kilograms of gold dust, worth an estimated $500 million, to collectors who came from all over the world. Thompson was celebrated, a hero, the greatest treasure hunter in American history. And then, he stole everything. He found $500 million in gold. He had 161 investors who funded the entire operation. He paid them nothing. Not a single cent. And then he ran. After neglecting to pay his investors the millions of dollars he owed them, Tommy Thompson went on the run. He decided to sell 532 bars and thousands of gold coins to California Gold Marketing Group for $52 million, without informing his investors. Prosecuted in 2005, he hid in Florida. For years, nobody could find him. The man who located a ship 2,000 meters underwater, using nothing but 130-year-old newspaper reports, had vanished. Police finally tracked him down to a hotel in Florida years later. He was arrested, brought to court, found guilty. And then came the most extraordinary part of the entire story. The judge asked him one question: "Where is the gold? Where are the 500 gold coins you hid?" Tommy Thompson looked at the judge and said nothing. He has been in a prison cell ever since. Tommy Thompson has been in federal prison for years because he refuses to answer questions about the whereabouts of 500 gold coins. Choosing prison over revealing where the treasure is. One ship, one storm, one night, an economy destroyed, 425 people dead, $2.4 billion in gold on the ocean floor. A man who found it, stole it, and chose prison over giving it back. And somewhere, in a location only one man knows, 500 gold coins from the California Gold Rush are still hidden, waiting. The SS Central America, the ship of gold, the ship that crashed America, and the treasure that is still missing. Later.